Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro.
Those were the last time that we heard from Cam Vaughn, wide receiver for West Virginia University. Some bought in, some didn't. But what we do know was that a lie was told.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking Mountaineer football again this evening on the portal side of things, but it's on the other side of things where it's the loss side of things. Normally, we don't get too upset over those kind of things, but when you're lied to kind of things, you kind of see things a little differently kind of things. And in this situation, a lie was definitely told. Now, we're going to parse through it and decide, did we miss some warning signs? Did we follow the hope train all the way home? Those kind of things all matter. But at the end of the day, was it a big loss? Is it a big loss? We'll talk about that too. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Brought to you by our friends from FanDuel. And right now, guys, with FanDuel, if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. We'll be talking about Xavier Bausley, somebody I was quite fond of at West Virginia, and his loss to the transfer portal, as well as another player that has entered the transfer portal. These are three players I all viewed as either contributors or major starters at some point in their career. So we will definitely talk about all of them and where that leaves the wide receiver room, because obviously now without Cam Vaughn, the wide receiver room just looks, flat. I mean, I don't know if that's a great word or not. But, we'll definitely have a look-see at that and what we think is the future there. But you guys heard the audio. If you're listening, if you're watching, you saw the video and heard the audio. He also had this to say, and I want to thank Dylan Moses for recording these.
Like, I love WVU fans. They lit.
Here's my take on it. I said it on the show the day that I said, that I bought into this. I did a show on it and said he was staying. You can only take people for their word and face value, and also keep in mind things can change. I understand that. I think most of us understand that when it comes to the transfer portal. It did seem a little weird to me that he was saying that based on how his last game with the Mountaineers went and the way he was just attacked by so many people in the fan base. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not here to debate. But he did get attacked by a lot of people. Some people said he shouldn't come back to the sidelines. Chris Anderson posted, "Holy Cam Vaughn," on the loaf here. And then a lot of people saw that. And then there were defenders too, and I was one of them that day. But and I still do think that he's immensely talented, and that has not changed at all, not in the slightest. If he puts all his effort into the next place he goes, he could be an All-American. I do believe that. I believe he's got a chance to be an NFL receiver. I believe that. That said, a fan base that's been down for as long as we have, that love our players as much as we do, don't take it lightly when you lie to us or when you troll us, which is exactly how I feel, or what I feel happened here. I feel like we were the butt of some joke where this dude was trying to act like he was too cool and he was addressing it. There was no emotion behind it. There was no love there. Like, listen to this monotone. It gives me Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined vibes. Like,
Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro.
and all the classic signs, right? The playing with the hat, the sniffing, like those are all things of being uncomfortable. I should have known it. I did know it. I saw it in real time. And in my gut, deep in my bat, I'm telling you guys, in my gut, I 1000% thought that was disingenuous. But I still ran with it because I was hopeful, and that's what I was telling you guys earlier. The one thing in sports, what keeps us all getting up every day, and I won't go over it like I did the last time. I did like 10 examples, but, I get up and cover West Virginia every single day of my life. And you get up and watch me every single day of your life because we hope something good is going to happen. We hope that West Virginia is going to win 10 games next year. We hope West Virginia is going to have a great transfer portal haul. And we hope that Jack Bicknell moves on from West Virginia and we get an elite offensive line coach. And we hope, and we hope, and we hope. If we could erase the H and put an N there, nope is what we get a whole lot of. Hope we get very little of. And a vicious cycle it is. But you know what? We're going to be all right. I still have hope. This has not erased my hope for this upcoming year. If anything, I'm more resolved. If anything, I bet Rich Rodriguez is more resolved. And how do we know that the conversation wasn't had that you just need to leave anyway? How do we know that didn't happen? So there is a ton of different directions that we could take this. Face value, sure, he got us. He told us we were lit.
Like, I love WVU fans. They lit.
But that doesn't mean that both things can be true, right? I mean, West Virginia fans can be lit and he can still not want to be here. I mean, he's wearing a Jack State Gamecocks hat while he's doing the thing. I hate it. I really do. I just, a part of me hates it because I do think that he's extremely talented and could have had a big year for us. I think he's that good. And I don't know if we'll be able to replace him, but hopefully we can. Obviously, we're not paying him. Maybe we're going to get somebody else that has a better attitude. I'm not sure, but I don't want to label this guy bad attitude. I don't know him personally, right? All I know is the sideline antics, the body language, the loafing, and now these videos. So it's not great, but I certainly couldn't tell a coach like, yeah, he's got a bad attitude. I have no idea. I'm just going to base it off what I know to be true is just these last couple of videos. With that said, it is a loss, and certainly, he had 35 catches, 540 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That may as well have been 70 catches for 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. Like, our team was so bad last year, the offensive line so bad. Think about this. That happened with our first, second, third, fourth, and fifth string quarterbacks all playing at some point. Our first, second, third, and fourth, and fifth string running backs all playing at some point. And 2 of the worst graded offensive linemen, one the worst graded offensive lineman in the history of the program. And he still was able to be productive enough to do that. So we didn't have a Cam Vaughn problem last year. I can promise you that. And so on the loss impact meter, this one hits. This one's a 43.7 out of 50 for me. I think this is a big loss. Is it to the level of a Tyke Smith or no? It's not. You know, when those boys left, those were crippling blows. Absolutely. This here is a blow, but it's not a crippling blow. It's not a quarterback. It's not a left tackle. It's not a pass rusher or a corner. You know, their wide receivers are fairly replaceable. Elite wide receivers, no. Cam Vaughn is a very good, has never shown to be elite yet. I did think he had that in him. And I do think that if he goes somewhere correct for him, he will show it. Hopefully he goes somewhere where they throw a lot of deep balls because that's what he's good at. But overall, he comes out on a bad end here, right? I mean, to say all those things and pour it out a couple of days later is the same exact thing Jaheim White did to West Virginia fans. And I don't know if this is some kind of new thing because these kids have no attachment to the university, that they just troll the fan base on the way out. That's how it feels to me on both of these. Both Jaheim White and Cam Vaughn both said they weren't going nowhere and then did. So, I mean, you want to talk about breaking your trust. All fans from now on until the end of time are going to reference that time Cam Vaughn said he was staying and didn't anytime a player says they're not leaving anymore. So be prepared for that. Overall, I wish Cam the best. I'm upset, so I'm doing this video. Certainly, if he watches it, I don't expect him to be happy with me. But I hope he can understand, dude. You came out on the bad end of this. That's why I put the Pinocchio nose on you and put the social media thing up there where it says Mountaineer for life and all that, and put liar because, I mean, you're literally doing the opposite of what your words were here. So that's my breakdown on it. But he wasn't the only lost. The very first story I ever scooped ever in my career was Xavier Bausley. And Xavier Bausley actually gave me the story. So I'm going to share that story and more right after the break. First of all, I have to, let's see. Let me make sure. Yeah, I need to get something really quick. 1 second, guys. Let's see. Wonder where it went. I used to have his X right there. It is. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take some screenshots here and just let you guys see them. You know, I had some really good stuff here with Xavier, man. I really did. Some really good, you know, back and forth with him over the years, and just really excited about, at the time, I was really excited about, you know, his potential and with West Virginia. And I wish, I wish things worked out differently for him. I'll take a couple screenshots really quick. And just to show you guys kind of how this all went down, you know, because it is a good story, you know, for him to give me this scoop and everything, and all that. So, you know, give me just a second here. Okay. Sunday evening. I know he sent me a message that said I could that I could share it, you know. So, all right. There it is. I found it. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, that's cool. I'm so glad I still have this. I wasn't sure if it was deleted or not. So I'm glad that I still have these. Apologies for the holdup. It's worth it, though. I want you guys, since now that he's leaving, I'll share these publicly for the first time. You know, just to go to show you a lot about Xavier Bausley. After the break, guys, I'll show you the screenshots from mine and Xavier Bausley's conversation the day he decided to commit to West Virginia, and he actually gave me the scoop to break. So we'll talk about that next. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Right now with Game Time, if you want to know, I'll tell you, Game Time is doing it big right now. Nobody's doing it bigger for multiple reasons. College football season, there is nothing like it, right? Tailgates, packed stadiums, being right there in the middle of it all. Energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, well, that's part of the frustrating part with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. So that's why Game Time is the pick for me. I love being able to see the view from my seat before buying, so I know exactly what I was getting. The zone deal stood out too, where you pick your section and Game Time picks the seats where you save even more. Seeing college football tickets starting as low as $25 made it easy to plan a game day trip for. Absolutely. You can take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase where the terms apply. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off today. Download that Game Time app today where you can swipe, tap, ticket, then go download Game Time today where we'll find the question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. All right, we're back here on Locked On West Virginia. It's segment 2. Let's crack open this do then. Xavier Bausley hits the transfer portal, and I'll be honest, man. I'm going to tell it all. I have no reason to hold anything back. So, a family member of his hit me up. Doesn't really matter who, probably a month ago and said, hey, if Jack McNeil doesn't get fired, basically, we're out of here. And a lot of people are going to be out of here. I still don't have any clue. I was wondering earlier, gosh, I wonder if this means McNeil's staying. But it could be just that they had the conversation to leave as well, right? I think we know that. But, I think for me, I wish Xavier nothing but the best. I think he's one of those guys that, for whatever reason, just didn't get the chance that he deserved. And this is a freshman All-American at Jacksonville State. And here's what he was telling me. This is during his recruiting process. He said, I definitely get where you're coming from. Like I said, I'm all but committed, but I just want to see what Kentucky has to offer. Doesn't hurt to explore your options, right? And I went on to find out, and this is before he committed. I went on to find out Kentucky actually offered like 30 or 40 grand more than West Virginia did, and he still picked West Virginia. Right here's where he said, I'll keep you in the loop about the wrap up this UK visit, etc. We were talking the entire time. Well, that was at 11:02 a.m. The next day or day after, he called me back. He had told me previously that I could report this. He said, hey, bro, I'm a man of my word. I just called Coach Moore. I'm a Mountaineer. I said, you did? And I can break the news. Have you told anybody else? And he replied to, I can break the news. He said, yes, sir. So, that's the kind of person Xavier is. And nobody had known. He said, just my family and the coaches at that time, so for me, somebody who had only been doing this for about a year at the time, had never had a really big, to me, that was because at the time he was a freshman All-American. He was seen as a starter about to come in, under Neil Brown and crew. For me, that was a big deal to get that news. Now, I didn't ask him for it. He just offered it to me, like during our conversations. He was like, yeah, man. And he was like, whenever I commit, I'll let you be the guy, So that's why I asked, like, and I can break the news. Like, I wasn't sure if I was still able to do it. And he still let me, and that's something that stuck with me for a couple years, because I mean, that was one of my most viewed tweets ever. Nobody had it. Not Thamel, not anybody. which, that was before it was as big as it is now on X. But, Xavier's a guy that I feel like personally they just didn't like this year. I know he got injured early in camp, but you just can't. There's no way. I watched the tape at Jacksonville State. They had a 2,000-yard rusher with him starting on that offensive line. Is it a lower level? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Guilty as charged, for sure. But you can't convince me that he's worse than Kimo Makaniole. You can't do it. You can't tell me that Tykees Crawford was better than him. I won't believe it. I'm going to be monitoring heavily where he goes next. And I hope to God he kicks ass. I'm rooting for him like crazy, obviously. Xavier, quit talking to me, man. I've said this a few times. I think this was a hard year for him. And it was one of those things where probably he didn't have very much good to say, so to say nothing at all. He was probably locked in, and I quit messaging because I didn't want to make him feel like, you send one or two messages to somebody and if they don't respond, then you just kind of leave it alone. But I don't know. I just wish that Xavier would pick better this time for himself. I don't think that the style that Neil and them were running was exactly what I thought he should do. Personally, I've always felt like he should be in a role where it's a lot more downhill, because Neil is at the time was especially, we were coming off that JT Daniels year where we threw it a lot. It did turn into more of a running style, but I didn't know it was going to do that. So, if he goes, maybe he's a good guy now. Maybe he would be good for North Texas now. I don't know. I'll be really, really looking forward to seeing what Xavier does. He's a West Virginia native, guys. We got to hold on to those guys if we can. I hate that he's had to enter the portal. I know it's probably hard on him, but with West Virginia set to go out and get probably 2 or 3, here's what I know from my conversations now. I know, guys, and I've got a meeting as soon as this video is over. I've got a meeting with another agent, and one of the big ones. He's also an NFL agent, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things. I'm actually looking to see. Okay. There's a lot of things about this era that I'm starting to understand. And one of the things is West Virginia is really gearing up to spend heavy on the low line. I have no idea what they're going to do at other spots, but I've had 2 separate agencies, and then one had 2 separate agents within the agency that I spoke with. The other was just one guy. All 3 of these guys have told me West Virginia is asking about everybody's best offensive line. A lot of times they can gauge, they said, where a guy about where somebody's going to feel comfortable spending with them based on who they're asking about, right? Like a lot of guys, some coaches aren't even going to call and ask about the kid from LSU, the freshman or whatever, the former 5-star freshman that played there last year. Like a lot of guys aren't even going to call and ask about him because it's like, it's $2 million probably, right? I'm just out of my range. So if somebody calls and asks about him, you at least know they're in that ballpark. Well, I don't know if they're asking about that guy, but I do know that Rich Rod and company are prepared to spend big on the offensive line this year. So if I'm Xavier Bausley, I'm looking at that and saying, there's no way I see the field. I mean, it's going to be a tough uphill battle to beat out these guys now. So it's almost like you kind of got buried. I'm hoping that's what it is rather than Vic Nell's coming back, because they told me a month ago, hey, look, if Vic Nell stays, a lot of people are going to hit the portal. I've not been shy about, I've not been shy about my dislike for Vic Nell as a coach, right? for multiple reasons. I mean, I can name a bunch off. There is obviously, where do I start? I guess I'd probably start with the lineup decisions, right? The lineup decisions were cool for 7 or 8 weeks. Like, I get it. You got to give guys a chance to play together. And sometimes you do need 6, 7, 8 weeks when it's all new everybody. I get that. But when Kimo Makaniole and Walter Youngbear were both rated, you know, I can't remember how many eligible players there were last year, but let's say it was 399, right? Let's say there was let's say Pro Football Focus graded 399 guards last year. Kimo Makaniole was number 399 graded guards last year. You know, whatever that last number was, he was the worst. And Walter Youngbear was in like the 200s. You know what I mean? Tykees Crawford was in the hundreds. None of them were any good. And you're sitting here telling me that this kid that you guys didn't even recruit here from the portal, it was Neil Brown and company that was a freshman All-American, albeit at Jackson State, but they ran for freaking 2,000 yards with one running back, Trey Stewart. You mean to tell me that he's not even good enough to get snaps? I just don't buy it. I don't know what the reasoning was. I mean, no coach is going to sabotage anything on purpose. I get that. And I'm not suggesting that. But I can't buy that Makaniole was the best. You won't ever convince me. I don't care what reasoning you have. You'll never convince me that Kimo Makaniole was the best option we had at right guard, especially since we ran for 250 yards on Houston the one game he was out. Get the hell out of here. So it's like on Forrest Gump. Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away from here. Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far, far away from here. Except change the words to, dear God, make McNeil a bird so he can fly far, far, far away from here. Like, please get him out of here. Cut it out, as Joey would say. We'll go to break on that note. We got one more guy to talk about, obviously, after the break. Hit the portal. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, guys. And with FanDuel, guy, you already know about it. A little bit of $5, sometimes it'll make you holla. But in this situation with FanDuel, if you want to be in the middle of the action this season, you can do it with FanDuel. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. The NFL Sundays move fast, and it makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, momentum swing, and highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips after a turnover. And FanDuel lets you jump straight into this moment. With live bets and money lines, everybody is adjust instantly to. Player props update as guys heat up, and you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, drive, and possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long with FanDuel, where the game moves fast, and so can you. It's segment 3. We're back. Thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight and supporting the show. Like I said, you guys are awesome. I say it every day to you, and I'll continue to say that. Couple of notes here. Obviously, the wide receiver room is left pretty barren. You do have junior college guys coming in, so that's not nothing. But you've got Rodney Gallagher coming back next year. Christian Hamilton. Obviously, Keon Hutchins, Kedrick Triplett. You've got the freshman class coming in. Perhaps you can get Jaden Bray back. Perhaps you can. I'll be interested to see what happens here, man. Gerard Bowie might come back too. But yeah, there's a lot to look at and kind of hope about. I mean, that room's barren though. Like we need an influx of talent there for sure now. Now that Cam's gone, get it, instead of Cam Vaughn. Anyways, yeah, Kevin, he did sound drunk in that video. That's true. Mountaineer for life. And for those of you that haven't heard it, let's play it. Let's let it live on in infamy one last time.
Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life. Feel me? I'm staying, bro.
I like the guy in the background. What's good, cuz? Is what it sounds like. Listen again. Is there somebody saying in the background, what's good, cuz?
Can you please stay with us? What do you mean, bro? I am staying. Mountaineer for life.
He said, damn, cuz. Oh, man, that makes me laugh. I used to mimic my godbrother's accent all the time. His name's Darrell Cabarrus from New Jersey. And they used to say, instead of turn the lights off, they would say, man, cut the lights on, cut the lights off, not turn them on or off. They would say, instead of water, they would say water. I need a glass of water, like that. They had that real Jersey kind of flair to their accent. And like, from the most part, I think an African-American Jersey accent is a little different than like the Jersey Shore type accent. You know what I'm saying? Seems like there's a difference between them for the most part. There are some similarities, but like I have seen like differences as well. Just something, an observation I've noticed before. For those of you that are mentioning, I've seen a few people say this. There are going to be players that commit and decommit because of a coach, absolutely, in this day and age. But it is the new norm, right? Coaches commit to places because of positional coaches and head coaches, and not because of universities anymore. That is true. With the Bicknell situation, I've talked to who matter in the room. Not that, let me rephrase that. Actually, man, that came out totally wrong. Cam Goforth is a guy that I think can potentially be a starter by his second year in the program. Absolutely. But what I mean is, I've talked to the guys that are probably going to be starters next year about that situation. And they're not invested in whether or not he stays either way, right? And that includes incoming. Like I've talked to Kevin Brown about it. Other people, like they're just committed to they're committed to Coach Rod and the vision. If a change happens, they're not going to leave. I'm not that they wouldn't support Jack McNeil if he stayed either, but I have talked to some guys about that, and they understand, like they've been transparent with these kids the whole way. It's very publicly known that Jack McNeil is only on a 1-year contract and that he was working for more time if that's what they were going to do, right? If they liked it, they would keep him for more time. But I don't think that's obviously happened at this time. But yeah, I'm just trying to have a hard time with any reason to bring back Jack McNeil, man. I don't think there's anything good that can come from it at this point. And I think all trust has been broken with Rich Rod as far as on the field. And here's another thing. I get it. Like the same excuses that I used for Rich Rod and for Cam Vaughn and for anybody that played on the team last year, They apply to Jack Bicknell too. Like I have to remain unbiased as I can, because I have grown to think that he can't help us to the point now where anything is like off limits to my brain unless I make it. So like Jack Bicknell had a pretty rough situation as well, as far as the team we had. But like they evaluated and picked those players and then chose to start them. So it's harder for me because like I can make an excuse for Rich Rod because we've named it a billion times. Your top 5 quarterbacks and running backs went out and it was your first year and the whole thing. No wonder the offense sucked at times. Still got it done for some games. And Rich Rod changed quarterbacks. He changed running backs. He was trying everything. On the offensive line, which is where Bicknell reigned at. And I don't know why Rich Rod didn't. And maybe this is the part that confuses me, because I know Rich Rod probably just lets his guys coach and play who they think is best, and he just calls the plays. That's how a lot of guys do it. But after my offense was just horrible for the 6th or 7th time, I would have probably said, listen, we can't ever do that lineup again. I don't know who the weak link is or who you think it is, but there's no way that Tykees Crawford and Kima Makaniole are going to play beside each other ever again. I don't know. It was that bad to me. Rough, man. Last player that left today, though, by the way, before I forget, was Israel Boyce, a safety who has a lot of talent. He did play in 8 games, 11 tackles, and had his best game against Texas Tech. So, he was a rotational depth piece at safety, but I do think that he had a chance to be an impact player next year for sure. But he's replaceable at the same time. All these guys are replaceable, including Cam Vaughn, but in order to get another Cam Vaughn, can you imagine honestly, Cam Vaughn had 35 catches for 500-something yards and 4 touchdowns last year, and almost one of the worst snake bitten. It's almost as bad as our basketball year with all the injuries we had, whether Kirk Risa or Jesse Edwards or all those things that happened. It's not quite as bad because we didn't lose Huggins or anything like that, but it's like similar. There's a lot of similarities. It was a very snake-bitten year. Can you imagine what Cam Vaughn would have done on a just an average team or a very good one? Frustrates me, man. He would have probably been a 65, 70 catch guy for 1,000, 1,200 yards and potentially 10 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns. I mean, who knows what could have happened, and we'll never know now. It just sucks because I really love Cam Vaughn's ability. Those long arms, so good. All right, let's get out of here. Obviously, we have more to talk about. May do some more tonight. But if not, I will see you tomorrow, as always, here in Locked On West Virginia. Thanks for sticking with me today. Once again, want to wish Xavier Bausley the very best. He deserves, and I mean deserves, somewhere that wants him and wants to play him, and I hope he gets it because he was so good to me, and I can't thank him enough for being such a good, friend at the time or whatever you want to call it. He really just showed me a lot of his character through those times, and I'll never forget him for it. Let me break my first story was a big deal. So thank you to Xavier for that. Wishing you the best, man. Be pushing for you, pulling for you, the whole thing. Like, subscribe, the whole thing here too, guys. We're almost to 7K, which is very important. It's a good number to get to. We're trying to get to 10 as well this upcoming year. We did pretty good this last year. We went from 2,000 to 7,000, basically 7,000. 5,000 in a year is not too bad. We do that next year, we'll be around 12,000. Be at 20,000 the year after that or so. So, things are growing. Happy about that. And we'll see you next time. Guys, don't forget to make Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day, but we can't stop there, right? We have to remember our friends at Locked On Big 12. And there's a reason for it. Drake Toll leads the conversation in the whole discussion around the Big 12 as he is the number one guy when it comes to the Big 12. Make sure you check him out at Locked On Big 12. And last but not least, the College Everydayer Club, right? We know the Everydayer Club is a big deal to us. Hopefully it is to be to you, because tomorrow we will be talking about more West Virginia football. Make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast and us here on YouTube, because if you need a last-minute holiday gift somebody wants, make it easy. Get an Everydayer ad-free episodes, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through the link in the description. So if you want to be a part of that action, man, make sure you're doing it on the Everydayer Club. Come be a part of it. Guys, news like I'm about to get here in a few minutes. This is legitimate. I'm not just making this up. Like, I'm about to talk with an agent. I don't know how many of you care about this. Maybe none. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm about to talk to an agent of a couple players that West Virginia is interested in that's in the portal. Literally as soon as I get off the phone here. If you want to be privy to things like that, go to the link in the chat, right? So lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club, make sure you're checking that out. So, what are you talking about, Papa Tune? What are you talking about, dude? Throwing fans under the bus again, and when you post videos trashing players and coaches after losses, what are you talking about? I don't have time to unpack that at all, but I don't do any of that. If you're talking of just normal critique, that's anybody, but man, people have some crazy ideas of what trashing somebody is, I guess. Which incoming receivers do I like and the most impact? Who I believe have the biggest impact? Of the freshmen, there's not many freshman wide receivers coming in, but Robert Oliver is definitely a name to watch if you're talking about that from a wide receiver high school part. Coming in from portal, we don't know yet. Now, if you mean JUCO, oh yeah, Kedrick Triplett is obviously the guy, the JUCO guy. Keon Headball Hutchins as well, another guy. I love both those guys. But if you're talking about overall, I mean, it's like it's Kevin Brown and Amari Latimer for me. They're right next to each other. I definitely love that. So, I mean, look, if you guys think honesty is trashing players, then this ain't the channel for you. I don't know what else to say about it. I am not going to change who I am for anybody. Not happening. Like, I am going to criticize people when I feel like it's justified. When you're ranked 399th out of 399 potential players, I'm going to talk about it. And it may not be that player's fault, but these dudes are getting paid a lot of money, and trashing players and being honest about their play on the field are a little bit two different things. Nobody talks about the fact that I took up for Cam Vaughn for a week after that happened with the loping play. And I mean, I got a lot of heat for that, because everybody wanted him gone. But now that he's lied to us and trolled us or whatever it is, talking about that, it's just, I'm calling it like I see it. I'm not intentionally trashing anybody, like I just got done talking about all this great stuff with Xavier Bausley. Do you only focus on the negative things? Is that how it is? Cause I'm just doing my best, man. I'm definitely not perfect. And I may go too hard on some players sometimes, and my opinions change on players too. It's just like anything. As information comes in, the opinion has to change or stay the same. It's just like relationships, right? I mean, the things change. We got to run, guys. We're over time here, but we will be back later or tomorrow. Depends on what happens. Until then, keep country roads.